This, all right.
She's doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
So, hi Namrata
Hi.
ji.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us the time today. So, I am Swati. I work as Senior Manager Development Sector Advisory with Thinkthrough Consulting. Thinkthrough Consulting is a development consulting firm, and we do research, impact evaluation, different kinds of studies on various domains. One of the primary domain being sustainability, climate change, and we are doing a ecosystem mapping study on natural dyes as part of this assignment. And this we have been tasked to do this by WHH, Welthungerhilfe, and we have been in touch with Mr. Vijay regarding this. And we wanted to specifically meet you from ColorAshram Foundation to understand your work in terms of promoting natural dyes. Where are you sourcing them from? So we want to understand how you are using natural dyes, how difficult or easy it is to obtain them, basically everything around this issue.
Sure. Thank you so much. So, I'm Namrata and I'm the co-founder. My other co-founder is Arun Bed, who is also my teacher in this, and he is also my partner. So, he has worked for 25 years on natural dyes, and he's one of the very few people who has stayed on this path. This is a very important information I'm giving you. People have come and gone, come and gone. To stay on this path has been extremely difficult because of the simple reason there is not so much of demand or a structured ecosystem yet, which is really lacking. Even though there are some practitioners, but you can't exist in an economy without having a continuous, ecosystem support. So he is one of the very few ones. He's also the pioneer of industrializing natural dyes. So he wanted to make natural dyes as an industrial solution, not as a craft. This is a very major point for us, which Kalarashram carries forward very proudly. So, whereas he is a manufacturer, patent holder, researcher, and the person who's doing natural dyeing at industrial scale, Color Ashram is the educational training and the ecosystem partner who is concerned with what is in this field is needed to get this, off the ground. How can we induct people into it? How can we motivate? What other ecosystem collateral developments needs to be done? Because we are talking about textile industry. It is a very big ecosystem, starting from colleges to research centers to technology, the tech colleges to the industry, so all of this happens. So we are interested to study and understand where what is. So it's not about just teaching natural language to someone, that doesn't help. We also need the ecosystem support. So my full-fledged thought process is about how can we make this work. So that's what is what I'm doing. So besides that, as a service, we do training, we provide workshops, we provide dye products, and we provide consultancy for people for startup brands. So startup brands are 95% of my clientele is startup brands. People who want to get started with thing, and it may not be from textile, it can be an architect, it can be a banker, it could be from different fields. So that's what we do. And whenever the things get bigger, as in the industrial side of the things and training is what my partner handles, and we handle the beginning and the ecosystem study of it. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So both the industrial aspect and the other aspect, the training, knowledge management, consultancy aspect, they both work under one umbrella, which is Color Ashram.
Industrial aspect works under True Tone Inc., which is my Arun's this thing, company name, True Tone Inc.
Okay.
The name was specifically chosen because the chemical shade of a colors, it's Pantone, right? Pantone is a standard shade, a company whose shades all over the world people follow. So True Tone
Hmm.
was to set up the standard for natural dye shades in comparison with Pantone, which is an industrial shade cut company, right? So that's
Okay.
how it was, yeah,
Mixing the two
envisioned.
together.
Yeah, right. And the
Got it.
tagline is live and die naturally.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice. Nice. Okay.
And our ColorAshram tagline is natural dyeing made easy.
Okay, great. Um, I also wanted to ask you about, I mean, to some extent, you've already spoken about this, that why Color Ashram came into being. What was the gap that you all were, setting out to fill? And why and when did you came into being?
It's
Partly
a
you've
long,
already answered
yeah,
it.
yeah, sure. No, no.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I started 15 years back, and I
Okay.
started because I found this very, I am a person who's attracted to challenges less taken, the road less taken. So that was my interest 15 years back when I got into it. And I was very, very disillusioned with consumerism. It just did not make sense for me. And clothes
Mhm.
and fashion, especially, I mean, you throw a stone and you will reach a fashion designer or a boutique or whatever. There's so many people who are doing clothes. So that was not at all interesting for me. And I thought that why are we should be dousing this fire down. This I'm talking from just a very common sense level. I'm not a person who studied this, whatever, nothing. I just felt it's a huge fire and someone needs to put it out, not rage it more. That was my idea about fashion and clothes and everything. And I'm talking about not even being from this industry. So when I got to know about natural dyeing, it was something very interested. I am a ecologically inclined person, alternative lifestyle person. So I felt it very aligned very well. I have done theater, arts, and different kinds of things. So for me, the holistic living wise, this made a lot of sense. Then I started working with it, and along the journey, I understood what all is missing. Because when you start working, first I was just talking to some export companies in Kolkata. I was in Calcutta at that time, and I used to get it to Arun, and he would then work with them. So I was basically liaising agent between them, and I was just trying to do that. Then I thought that why not introduce it to the public? So I opened a small shop and I kept some fabrics and nothing was selling because people did not understand this shade card only. I started wearing clothes then. And then people said, "Oh, can you make this for me?" I said, "Only if you make with natural dye clothing." So I did all of these many experiments and I started making clothes. And then I again stumbled upon a thing that people are wearing it, but they are only worried about how they look in it. They like the stitching and the designing, but they're not concerned about the fabric. I mean, they will still buy chemical and they will do this once in a while, whatever. So I thought that, okay, the public is not at fault. The problem is that nobody has seen this, nobody's heard about it. There is no muscle memory in our memory to understand this thing. It's like something very new. It's like if I tell you that, 1 lakh people died in some avalanche, you will hear it, but you will not relate to it till you have witnessed it or till some of your people have been involved in it or you have some memory of it, right? And this is even farther. Like natural dyeing is not anywhere. 15 years back, it was even less. So I thought that we need some workshops and trainings where muscle memory can be introduced. So 15 years back, I started doing workshops. And at that time, I don't think natural dye workshops were a thing. Natural dye workshop as a hobby came into being in the COVID space. Along with cooking, natural dyeing really became a rage, and also with so much of global challenges and crisis with with the climate change and all this, it's becoming more a rage now. So just for the need to, so my psyche was, how do I connect people with this thing? Can they see the beauty of the, can they see of, can, because you see, you believe what you see, right? So I was wanting to show the process to people, which was not done in Calcutta at that time at all. And I also, Arun had never done it. So I invited Arun and we did a lot of workshops. And then I started understanding that education is my thing, creating awareness is my thing, making clothes. There are loads of people who can make clothes. There's no dearth of designers. But I think educating and creating a mindset for this, making that connection, because at the core of it, every human wants to preserve life and do something good. But what if they don't know what is harming in the normal clothing system? What, because it's a secret, very, very well kept, very well kept. Nobody knows how much damage clothes and fashion causes.
Yeah.
So, my whole thing was to introduce this as a muscle memory, and it really took off very well, and I started enjoying it as well. Then at some point, Arun and me decided to open a organization together, which was called ColorAshram. 7 years back, we opened it, and we professionally and technically we are training people. So I've taken the training from Arun and seen how we do this, and we're doing this. The thing that we do at Color Ashram is that we are teaching people to dye with professionally advanced system of dyeing. Usually, it is a very traditional and a craft process. Now, craft has existed in rural areas, in areas where you can do it in a small quantity. You can do it for your hobby, but you to do it as a profession, you either need to be part of some geographical, the dyers that are there and all of that.
Mhm.
So my idea was not to help people make swatches and one painting and be happy about it or whatever, dye a small thing. Our my and Arun's both vision, I think it matches somewhere, is that we want to see it in the wardrobe of people. We want to see people earning money out of it. We want to see it coming in the economy, in the textile industry, right? And for some reason, I mean, for some reason, as in, we know that everything works by demand and supply, right? There is no one wanting to create a demand in this, because then it'll fall on the people to learn a new language, okay, which is a very, very difficult thing. People who have been using chemical dyes, the biggest problem that we have, even if one person in the company wants to do this, others won't. Why? Because it's a new thing, and it's a lot of headache for people who are used to chemical dyes. That's way easier. It's a set pattern. It is also a thing that is developed over hundreds of years of research. Okay. I mean, I would say chemical dyeing also, when it started, was had its teething trouble, had so many failures, I'm sure, right? But what happens as you human psychology, we know that when we do something and we made it easy, after that we don't want to go back and learn again and do something again new. We want to stick to the pattern that we know already. The way we brush to learn something new, there's a very, very huge mindset block. This is what is hitting the industry in the big time. So even though climate change sustainability is a big thing, the fact that synthetic dyes cause a lot of harm, and in what way? Just saying randomly that, synthetic dyes are polluting. Like when people come to my workshop, I ask them, what is wrong with synthetic dye? So they say, yeah, they're polluting. I said, okay, why? Then they'll say, because there are chemicals. I said, okay, where do chemicals come from? They'll say, from industries and whatever, it's bad. I said, no, why is it bad? And they don't know. They don't know the answer. So my job at Kalrashram is really to tell people to go back and understand the roots of why it is a problem. Just saying something is wrong, because all natural things are not good, all man-made things are not bad. This debate is bigger than that. The thing is about what is polluting our water systems and soil systems, right? So then we go back, and then the secret of the synthetic dye, that it is from petroleum. Very few people know it. People think that it is coming from plants. Many people actually assume that colors come from plants. So, and the fact, then I take them to the fact that, okay, where is petroleum found really? Then they'll say very deep down. I said, oh, so Earth did not plan to have it outside as a river or soil or plant or tree. Why is that? Why do you think we did that? Like, why did Earth do that? Then I tell them the analogy of a mother and a child. I said, where does a mother keep the most harmful object in the house? Away from a child. Don't touch it, don't reach it. Same way, petroleum was not left for us to go and touch it. We have taken it out, and we have not solved the pollution problem with anything we make from petroleum. Nothing is actually digestible, compostable, and it's extremely complex, complicated, and expensive to clean water, soil that has been already polluted with chemicals. It has been said, and you guys should probably look it up for a fact, that the chemicals of 1940s are still there in our system. They have not been broken down. So, the job of the coming generation, you can imagine, is going to be cleaning this chemical out of our water, soil, and air. And I don't know how they will do that and what will happen. But what the proposal that we give to our people here is that clothes can be dyed naturally. It was done. Let's have the memory refreshed. But we're not telling you now you sit in a jungle and go and cut and get plants and you boil it for hours and hours and then you make it. No, we cannot ask anybody to do that. It's unfair to tell people to go back in time and become, like lose on time and energy and money, everything. So what we have done is the why we say it's easy is because so there are two parts of natural dyeing. One is color making and one is applying the color. So we are telling color making we have covered and industries need to cover it. They need to give ready colors to people to dye. If I tell you today, you first learn to make the color and then you understand how it reacts, and it's a lifetime journey. It's a master's journey. It is a legacy journey. You cannot learn from a craftsman what they'd have learned through ages. You cannot. Actually, it's not possible. And without learning and applying it in the industrial level, you can't do what you need to do. So, what we've done is we've covered the making of the colors and we teach people to dye with this in a very easy format where you don't have to learn about making of the color. So, you don't need to be a master. You just need to be a skilled person to apply it. And that we've not done only with hand dyeing, we've also done with industrial dyeing, which means that we have not told industry that you change the machine. If you have an industry today and you have your chemical dyeing setup, and if we tell you that you don't have to change any of your machines, in this machine itself, you can actually do natural dyeing, how would it sound to you? It sounds possible, it sounds doable.
Yes.
But what is
Yes.
going to be required is you need to train yourself and your mind and your eyes and your consumer. This is yet a very, very, very big challenge because when you do things with natural dye, you have to be mindful. You cannot work with eyes closed, like just some buttons and pressed. There is a variable which is working forever. It'll never change because by definition, natural dyeing is very alive and active. So the mindfulness has to come, the training has to come in, and then the consumer has to also use it with little care. If you have a natural dyed garment today, you cannot throw bleach and surf on it. You have to wash it with eco-friendly detergent or easy, gentle, whatever, gentle detergents. So the psychology of teaching the consumer to take a little bit of care, the psychology of teaching the people to be a little mindful when they're using is all a very doable challenge, but it's a challenge. You can't expect one company to do all of this thing because imagine the massive education setup that we have. Education setups are supposed to do that. Government is supposed to do that. We have to need to have messages for the education of this thing. Just like we know Coca-Cola and Colgate, we need to know this as well because today Xerox is a company, but we think I mean everybody uses it. It's so simple.
The
It's
word
become in our psychology, right? So someone has to make it more knowable, doable, so that it is not a very scary and alien creature. Right now, there is for the people who want to do this also, for companies who want to invest in this or want to do this, there's a huge fear because what will happen if it doesn't work? Because it's not, somebody has not belled the cat yet, in the sense a big industry has not changed yet. Lot of my students are all startup entrepreneurs and they are still doing in some way or the other, but they are women and some men, mostly women, who are doing very small scale, brands, very small. They don't count industrial or in any way they come under industries. So
Mhm.
we need example of a big industry to take it up. And when a big industry comes up, it'll obviously automatically bring in a lot of education. And we need parameters in the government also. Right now, there is no mark for natural dye in the sense that in the textile industry, there's no mark. So if you do it, you're not even valid. Like if you come under chemicals, you have to pay 18% GST on the buying of natural dyes, which is, to me, it's criminal. The game is so rigged, it's meant for you not to win. It's meant for you not to be successful. Why? because you should have incentives, you should have subsidy, you should have a mark, you should have support, you should have a education that already somebody else is doing, all of this. So at this time, I feel like people who are doing natural dye are really doing out of passion, and passion does run out if it economically doesn't make sense. Or some people are doing it with funding, that they have been funded by someone, so it's not on them to make a profit, they have money to continue. Now, that when you see from outside, you see both these people and you put them in the same boat and you say, it's okay, it's doable. No, but that is not the truth. The truth it will only be when you can earn out of it without getting a support or fund from someone. If your business is giving you money. So, my understanding is that we need to build a whole ecosystem around it to make natural dyeing successful. Can it replace? I'm already like probably I'm not waiting for your question also. I'm going on and on. Let me know if it is okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. Please, please.
no, what I was saying was
You
that
were,
where
you
was
were
I?
saying whether it is going to replace
Huh.
the.
Are, are we saying that chemical dye should be replaced completely? No, not saying that. Not saying that's a very big thing. We're not saying that is bad and this is good, so you should choose a good and you should remove the bad. Not possible. We are way ahead in population, in the way we industries are. I don't think we can completely replace. What the only thing that probably Kalrasham and True Tone, at least together, we are trying to say is there is 100 shelves of synthetic dye. Can we have one shelf of natural dye in the market? Can we have a competitive, let natural dye come in the market? Let people decide whether they want it or not. But at least let's create a level playing field for it. And what would it need? It would need an ecosystem support, which means that there has to be jobs. If there are no jobs in this, a NIFT will not take it up to teach because they are promising the parents that I'm going to get you a job for your student, for your child who's entering and learning here. Sustainability has no jobs right now. It's probably in your area, development, research, and all of these things. But are the jobs ready? Are people buying? Is the fashion industry ready? No. That is one thing. Second thing is I feel so the even the tech even the mark having a standard mark about natural dye that it is valid like because so government would pay attention to it. It was a sizable if it was a sizable market. It is I mean I don't know I may be wrong but it is not even 1% of the textile industry right now. So if natural dye says that okay give me a validity and a mark, government will say who are you? You're so small, you're not even existing, you don't contribute to the GDP.
Hmm.
GDP is, I mean, I believe in degrowth. I believe in I believe in us slowing down. I believe in all of those things, and GDP is not a good mark of the progress of a country. I think it is even if we spend on wars and medication, GDP will go high, but that's not really a wellness, thing. So we need a wellness mark where natural dye would really count very high. We need incentives for the industries to take it up. And industries would take it up. I feel like nobody is a is a criminal here or nobody is an enemy here, I would say. Because if you look at the facts, if there is a demand for if the consumers know about natural dye and they want it, brands will only be happy to provide it because people have money to pay for everything. People can buy a t-shirt for 1,000 rupees, 500 rupees, and 100 rupees. So there is a market for everything. To say that there is not a market, I don't agree with it. And trust me, natural dye would become cheaper than synthetic dye if there is a demand because the raw material is not very expensive. Especially in a place like India, we are the source. We have so much raw material here that we can actually really build this up. Having said that, it's not meant for fast fashion at all. It's not meant. You cannot do a natural thing with for a movement like fast fashion. It'll have to be slow fashion. It has to be less clothing. If you can't rip off, you can't rip off the sorry, 1 second. Just Yeah, you can't rip off nature for clothes that you don't need. Is there enough for our needs? Yes, there is. But is there enough for fast fashion? The way we have function, the way fast fashion functions right now? No. Today, I don't know if you're aware or you might be aware that we burn and we destroy a lot of clothes, new clothes, because we don't have market, we don't have storage facilities for them, and they're lying in stores and they're not selling. And a lot of clothes are discarded without being used even sufficiently for even a few months. So that kind of abuse is not, natural dye is not here to fulfill that. What we are really saying is that there should be a small space, a equal space for natural dye in the market to exist. That would slowly, yeah, because I don't believe in this whole let's change the world, let's make everything. No, I don't think that happens. Change is very gradual. And I think taking a few steps toward consciousness is the way we can go. And for that, we need a lot of hands. We need textile colleges to start embracing. We need textile industry to make jobs for it. We need some industries to commit to make, let's say, 1% of their production natural dye. If, I mean, industries are so huge, even if they make 1% of the production natural dye, I think it may really count. My figures might be here and there. I'm not coming from a data which is studied or whatever, but I'm just saying that I know that it would mean a lot. People who make tons of clothes, if they make 1% of their collection also natural dye, it would create a demand. And would people not buy chemical dye if we do that? No, there's no fear of chemical dyes going away. I think it will still stay. So, I mean, the first thing is fear psychology. We need to get out of it, and we need to have a healthy healthy market, and we need to have a kind of holding hands of this industry, technology, and colleges, consumers, government. All of these people have to pitch in to say that let's make this work. So, and I think without doing all of this, and this is a very top view I'm saying, this is like when the
Yeah.
clothes are ready and when the industry can do. So, we have some solution right away to work with this. If we
Hmm.
don't create a demand, going back and telling, let's grow natural dye plants, let's have industries make natural dye, and all of that. I mean, that probably works in other scenario, but in natural dyes I first feel first the demand and education has to be created, then backwards as the demand grows people will get into it and people will develop things, and people, we don't need one and two industries, we need 1,000 industries to come in. So it's like necessity is a mother of invention, and people will come up and do research and it will flower organically. So I feel like starting from the backwards to first grow and make this thing. We already have some naturalized existing in the market. Let's create a demand first. Let's start using it, and then we can build more appetite and all of that. So I feel it's a top-down approach. I feel like the education colleges, fashion designers, and the industries, they need to take a lead here with the uncomfortable truth that there is not a proper supply here. There's not a proper ecosystem here. There's not a proper dye company yet. I know all these are teething troubles, but only if we do it will it happen. And for that, some incentive has to be there for everybody. How can we do that? What can we get on the board? I can only tell you that people love natural dye. There are people who love natural dye, even if they don't know S about sustainability. It's got a market of its own. We just need to have a little level playing field, is what I feel. Yeah.
Hmm. Um, Thank you for answering that. And I mean, you've covered a lot of my questions already.
Yeah.
Um, so when you were talking about the fact that color production is something that you're taking care of,
Yeah.
you are helping people in the dyeing, how to dye the fabric.
Hmm.
So I think you have a patent also for a for herbal dyeing process.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah, we do.
Could you tell a bit about that as well? What is the core innovation there? How did you go
Yeah.
about doing it? How has it
So
helped you?
Yeah, so natural dyes usually is used by extracting the the dye from the plant, or it is the Ayurvedic kind where they take all the plants and they would boil it with the fabric. So when you're doing extraction, you usually in the scientific process you use solvent. A chemical solvent is what we use. And so the
Mm,
process is still a little chemical and it becomes quite expensive. So right now, this kind of expensive color is used in medicine and food and all of that, not in clothes. For clothes, it's very expensive. Textile industry
mm,
needs very, very cheap solution because it's a massive industry, you know. So what we have done is we are in between somewhere. We are not the Ayurvedic people who are saying that boil the plant and the fabric. We're not doing a
mm.
solvent extraction. We are in between. So we have made a formulation of a powder which we make without water, without solvent. So we have made a
Okay.
chemistry. It's a very out of the box recipe. Ingredients are same. It's still the same plants and everything, but the formulation of the
Mm,
dye is such
mm,
that it works with less fuel, so half the work
mm.
can be done in cold dyeing and then some heat and it works faster. We have standardized the shades to 30 shades at least and we can do more. So the main pain point of industry is having some standard. So what we have done is we've studied the textile industry as it is. What does it need? It needs a parameter so to say what is the wash fastness, what is the light fastness, what is the what is the scale of variability, all of this. We have put together these parameters. If you go to any natural dyer and you ask them, do you have a wash fastness parameter? They say, what is that? They will not know.
Mm.
So the thing is that we have come up to the textile language. So
Yeah.
if a chemical dye cloth would have a fastness of 5 to 6, and not all
Mm,
chemical dyes are good, by the way. You must be knowing that
yeah.
chemical clothes also bleach, also bleed. But if they are 5 to 6, ours is 3 to 4. It's not as bad, and in some colors it can be 4 to 5 also. So it is a
Okay.
acceptable fastness level. It's not as bad. But here, there's a lot of chemistry to understand. What do you do to make this fastness level high? To get a color is a child's play. You take beetroot in a house and you boil it, you'll get color. That's not natural dyeing. Natural dyeing is where the beetroot's dye is going to stay when you wash it 20 times in your machine. That is where we have done a lot of work. So we have a lot of lab reports, lot of work done on that. So without that, natural dyeing cannot be got on a purpose that it's very good, do this. No, no. We have
Okay.
to show parameters. So that's what we
Correct.
have done. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So going a step before this entire extraction process, we want to understand where do you currently source your raw materials from? Which states, clusters, or suppliers do you work with?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll help us talk to some of them. It'll help us map all these clusters, suppliers in the study as well. So could you tell us where do you source your raw materials from?
So I think that would be a question you'll have to ask Arun, and I can share
Okay.
his email ID with you. You can ask him. I am
Sure.
basically more of the person who uses a dye that he makes, but I know that they source it from open mandis where all these people sell their, pomegranate peel, madder roots, and all of these. There are so many people who also give these things for Ayurvedic medicines, right? And for so many industries that are dependent on plants like these. So it is
Mm.
taken from that. And one thing I can tell you is that in natural dye, you can, for example, a color yellow. You can get yellow
Mm.
from 20 different sources. Okay. You can
Mm.
say, see, I got a color from a yellow flower. See, I got a color from a yellow fruit. See, I got this color from
Mm.
yellow root. Now, if you want to do something industrial, you can't have so much of variety of sources. What we have done
Yeah.
is we've really smartly reduced. So we are not here. I mean, for industrial use, we cannot go, let's explore and keep exploring. No, you have to make your economics work somehow and all of that. So we have chosen a particular set of yellow that we make and we don't go out. If you, that is another thing. That is a thing for research and for developing another market for different kinds of yellows that you can get. But sadly, natural dye market is not that big to be able to sustain
Yeah.
those kind of research. I mean, and research, if you do and you don't apply, then I mean, in industrially, it doesn't help just having the research. There's a lot of demand supply that matters here. So for the, yeah.
Got it. Got it. Uh, Also, again, this might be a question that Mr. Arun may be able to answer better. But just for our understanding, which dye species do you use most, and which are the hardest to source consistently? Do you face any challenge in sourcing a particular color or a
I
dye?
think indigo, the indigo is a little difficult one to
Hmm.
source, and indigo is expensive as well. And to know whether indigo is synthetic or natural is also very difficult sometimes. So I think, yeah, indigo is the one which is little difficult. So in the
Hmm.
colors, I would say generally with any natural dyes, the easiest color to get is yellow. Many sources of
Yeah.
little less
Hmm.
difficult and little less easy is red. And the
Hmm.
most expensive and the tedious, valuable one is blue.
Okay.
So once you
Got
have
it.
red, yellow, blue, and black, which is from iron rust, then you can make any shade
Make
you
any
want.
color.
That is
Yeah.
how natural dyes work. Natural dyes don't say I'll get a purple flower to get a purple dye. It doesn't work that way. It works that you combine madder red and iron to get your purples and all of the shades. So that's the mastery that we that's the economy, and that's the way master dyes work also. So yeah.
Okay. Again, in terms of sourcing, are you directly working with farmer groups, foragers, or do you
Take it
involve
from the people
intermediaries?
who already collect and sell these plants. We are taking from the mandi people who sell. We're not connected with farmers. And
Great.
again, this is what my knowledge is, but I can let Arun speak for this more
So
confidently. Yeah.
what we'll do is we'll use your reference
Yeah.
and write to him, and then
Yeah.
maybe also have a call with him to understand the
Yeah.
industrial side of this a bit
Yes.
better.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then again, another question that we had was about pricing.
Mm.
Typically, how much do you pay for these colors? You already mentioned that indigo is expensive. Indigo is very expensive. So if
Yeah.
I had to buy, say, 1 kg of indigo color from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mandi, how much will it cost me?
Indigo powder. So indigo powder is not the last step. It's a beginning step. Then you have to again ferment it. You have to make it. So in natural dyes, the colors are actually not so expensive as much as making them for a particular order is. So if you don't have a regular order, because these are natural materials, if you make it and then don't use it, they get spoiled. There's no
Okay.
preservative that is used in it, and it is a fresh
Mhm.
color. So if you have an order of 1,000 meters, you can really sell fabrics cheaper. But if you have an order for just 5 meters, you still have to do a lot of work. Your time, labor is very expensive. So order
Mhm.
size, industrial dyeing is cheaper than hand dyeing. Hand dyeing uses more water, more effort, more time for the same thing. 5 meters made by hand and 5 meters made when 100 meters were made or 1,000 meters were made, very different. So the scale is
Okay.
one of the key here, number one. Number two is that the kind of process you do. So the kind of process we do, we've really brought the cost down a lot. We're not saying boil and boil and boil your materials to take out the color. We've
Mm.
actually made it without heat and water, the powder already. So
Mm.
there is no LPG and gas. All this is becoming more and more expensive these days. So you need a fuel
Yeah.
efficient thing. So our dyes bring down the fuel cost, the time cost a lot, and the machine
Mm.
use would bring down that cost a lot. It works for industries, but for handcraft, these are exotic crafts. These are okay to be done by hand, and so I'm not saying that craft is an expensive affair. Craft is different. Craft is another value. You can't make it
Yeah.
cheap. You can't do digital printing of a craft and then sell as craft. You should not be doing that.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my thing is ethics are very important here. If we need clothes
Mm.
to wear every day, we can make it in machines. If we need exotic clothes for a party or something, we can buy up expensive handcrafted piece. Handcraft is still expensive because of the time and effort it takes. But it can be
True.
industrial and cheap, and we can, yeah, and it will not
Oh.
pollute water. The biggest of the thing is that natural dye, if you do, you can actually reuse your water. You can get back 75% water back into the system after completely cleaning it. In synthetic dye, you cannot reuse your water. You have to throw it.
True.
Even if you
Okay.
don't retrieve water, after doing
Mm.
natural life, you let water go, then our soil is like a filter. It will let the
Mm.
underground water, clean water collect. But when you
Yeah.
leach out chemical dyed water on the soil, it makes the